Hey guys, Charles Rudibaugh back. I got a training for you that's never been done, and I think it's something we haven't really trained a whole lot on yet, but we talk about it a lot, called edification culture. What is an edification culture? Edification culture is when you create a culture in your group. Now, culture just means kind of the way things are accepted. It's the normal way of doing things. It's a culture, right? You go to a different area, a different country, they have a whole different culture. In our group, you want to have a culture where everyone is always edifying. And there's a lot of things that, besides just talking highly about somebody, that go into creating a strong edification culture. So I got some notes right here in front of me that I'm going to go ahead and read through. I want to share this with you guys. You know, one thing that's so impressive to me about these other companies that came before us, these juggernauts that are impossible to build, but certainly had their time. You know, like Amway, just a great company. Not something I'd want to be involved in right now, but certainly they've done a lot of things right and that we've learned from. And one thing they do right is they have an incredible edification culture. I mean, their entire way of introducing someone to the business is about talking about their leader, and they don't even talk about the business or the products or anything. They just say introducing them to someone that's mentored them, and they're edifying their leader. And their whole recruiting process is just an introduction to someone who's been successful, who's mentoring them. And so there's edification built into that system. Is the only way they've been able to build their business. But I think, you know, if every team in this, like, I mean, if you have a company that's paying 53% of the compensation plan, a team with this kind of momentum, products like ours, you know, when you have an opportunity like ours, when no one's heard of it yet and it's not saturated yet, but it's 10 years old and 10 years strong, having that kind of a culture in a company like ours, it just would blow the lid off it. You know, we're already breaking records, 150,000 distributors, you know, in just over 24 months, 27 months or so. Is unfathomable type of growth for any team or organization. But with more of a culture like this, it can just take things to a whole nother level. So, you know, imagine you're at the meeting, you go to the event, and, you know, you're a leader and you worked real hard to get your team to come and get they bring guests, and someone walks over to you and is like, hey man, how's it going? You know, so someone, I think, probably directed you to this video today because they wanted you to be able to make the best contribution you can make to the event, to start to really be a contributor as a leader, bringing a value to the event, not just showing up and bringing guests and making money, but also being a leader to give to the event. And so imagine you show up to the event and you're like, hey bro, right, to the leader that's helping you, the leader that's working with you, the leader that's been, you know, mentoring you and working with you and helping with your guests, and you're like, hey bro, like as if you guys are like on the same level, you know what I mean? And so we want to just have this high level of respect for people that are at a different level than us in the business, in the compensation plan. They're on another level, and then we got to treat them with respect. And so we're going to address them as Mr. and Mrs., right? When you did, imagine you worked so hard to bring your guests to the meeting, and then worked so hard to edify your leader, Mr. So-and-so, and then now some other rep comes over and is like, hey bro, what's happening? And your guest is like, looking at you, and you're looking at them like, what's going on? Because you just talked really highly of them, and this is Mr. Douglas. And this guy walks over and is like, hey, what's up, bro? To Mr. Douglas. You know what I mean? And this guy's, it's all awkward. So that guy just didn't have edification culture. He didn't understand these concepts of how everything works at a big event. So using first names is a no-no. You know what I mean? Hey, John, hey, Doug. You want to be using surnames at the big event. That's a key. And, you know, just imagine, you know, walking out of the room when the speaker comes up on stage. Like, imagine from your perspective as a guest, a new speaker, you talked really highly about this person who's going to be the speaker, and they come up on stage and a bunch of people get up and walk out. Maybe they're just going to go get a drink, or maybe they're going to go to the bathroom, but do you see how that's de-edifying? That creates a de-edification culture. So we want to train everyone as leaders to stay seated in the seats, because that de-edifies the speaker, it de-edifies the information. Same thing with, you know, talking while the speaker's talking. You got this guy up on stage that we worked so hard to build value in them as an expert, to have our guest, you know, respecting this person's information they're giving, and now we're just talking to them, you know, we're just interrupting the speaker, telling them that what we have to say is more important than what the speaker has to say, right? And now this guest has no edification. There's no edification culture anymore. They're not valuing what this person says. You're saying that you're more important. And so, but when this person starts talking to you, chirping in your ear in the middle of the meeting, and you're like, hey, hang on a second. I want to hear what he has to say. You're, hang on a second. Mr. Adams is speaking. Boom, you hang on a second. Hey, Mr. Nieves is speaking, right? Wow, that's edification. That's creating the edification culture in the actions, right? Taking notes on your phone, maybe the person next to you sees that you're taking notes, but everyone else just sees that you're on your phone. So that's creating de-edification, right? To have an edification, a strong edification culture, everybody has notepads and pens and paper, and they're actually taking notes. In a strong edification culture, everyone will be taking paper notes, even if they're just writing, on the paper, hey, this is going to be awesome, we're going to kick butt this year. Whatever they're saying on paper doesn't matter. It's just that people just around them are going to see them writing things down. And, wow, this is important. Creating edification culture. And there's so many different, key points to edification culture, but we'll keep covering them. If you are a leader and you come to another marketplace as an edified speaker and a presenter, as an out-of-town guest trainer, and you start training on different things than what that marketplace trains on, teaching people to do things in a different way than the way they're already trained on, the way they're doing it in their system, you're de-edifying their system and de-edifying their leaders, and you're not creating edification culture. Right? I'm really aware that if I go to another marketplace to help another team, I'm not going to tell them, the way I do it's better, you should do it the way my team does it. That de-edifies their system. That's not going to help them get excited and promote and edify their system. You see, that's going to de-edify it. So you want to create a system and a culture where everyone's edifying their system and edifying their leadership. That's part of an edification culture. And so that's a key. Here's another one. It's sort of like if you come to a marketplace, maybe you're not big on reading books, but you're like, I don't really read books. I listen to everything on audio. But this marketplace might have just been working really hard on 2 or 3 people that won't freaking read a book. And now we got them to barely start reading, but now you're like, I don't read. Now they have more justifications to not read. So we want to be really aware as leaders when we go to other marketplaces that we're not de-edifying with anything we're saying. And it may be how you do things, and it may be not as good as they do things, maybe not as good as the way you do things, but you're not trying to come in and change what they're doing. You're trying to enhance what they're doing, and we create an edification culture. And then everyone's excited about having other leaders coming into town because they're always reinforcing everything they've been training their team on, but from an outside voice. But not having a coming out-of-town speaker coming in, and then we have to do damage control from all the things they got people distracted doing. So that's something we want to be aware of, right? Also, here's little things like when the team meet, like when we go out for dinner, we go out for an event, we're going to get some drinks. The social aspect to network marketing, that's huge. And we play it well, right? We have a good game. And so imagine if you go out to get dinner and you're a leader, you're like you're a sapphire, you're a ruby, you're an emerald, you're a leader, and you don't order a meal, everyone else is ordering, but then you're like, hey, can I try that? You're like, hey, can I try that? Oh, you're not going to finish that? Can I eat that? That's de-edifying. That's not creating an edification culture. Edification culture, this is something my old upline where I really learned most of my network marketing from, what I learned from him so well. So often, he would actually buy 2 meals, and he would say he wanted the one thing from one and the other thing from the other. And he'd buy 2 meals, and maybe they're both $14 meals. It doesn't matter. $20 meals. It doesn't matter. And then maybe he won't even eat any of it. Because he's just so talking to people, mingling, and having conversations. And these other people that can't afford a good meal, they're literally scraping by just to get by to get started in network marketing. But they go, they show up, they have a drink or whatever, they get a beer, and everyone else is eating, and they're looking at you having 2 meals and not even touching it. That's creating edification. And then you get it boxed up, or you let them take it. You're like, I'm not hungry anymore. It's cold. No, I don't like leftovers. That creates edification. They're talking about for the rest of their careers how they got this leader who doesn't even eat his meals. He's making so much money, right? But imagine you're that leader who you're like, hey, can I have that? You're like, hey, are you going to finish that? You're killing your own edification there, right? Imagine, one thing I learned from my old upline here, it was so funny. I'm still talking about it today. He said that he wouldn't drink any water except Fiji water. He would only drink Fiji water. It was brilliant. This guy was brilliant. And people, I'm still talking about it today. He would turn down other bottles of water. He'd be in the middle of talking in front of the group and ask for someone to go get him a water. They'd bring him water. Like, I don't drink water, that kind of water. Can you go get me a Fiji? And so guess what would happen though? Guess what would have happened to the opposite of that? That creates edification. People are talking about their leader that is so wealthy, he only drinks a certain special water. Right? This little thing, this $3 thing he does, a $5 little thing creates edification. But imagine he's there with all of his reps, and there's bottled water, and there's water in the Coke machine, and he's like, oh no, I'll just get a cup of water because, I'm on a budget. I'm saving my money. I'm being smart. I'm not spending money on silly things. I can get regular water. Now I'm looking at my leader and I'm like, are they not making enough money even to buy a bottle of water? Like, some people are going to buy a bottle of water because they like bottled water better, and then you're like, oh, well, I'm just going to save on. And they're like, that's the kind of lifestyle I want. I want to like make 20 grand a month, make 50 grand a month, like not even be able to buy a bottle of water. Like, are they making that much money? Maybe they're not. Maybe they are. But it's de-edifying, right? So it's the little things we do as well that creates edification culture. You're going to go buy a new pair of sunglasses? Bring a rep with you. Let them see you buy that pair of sunglasses. And they'll have more edification culture for you. You're building the edification in through the actions. Do you see? So, that's a little thing. There's all these little tips. Imagine not getting on the diamond and up call. How would I be de-edifying? I mean, how would that doesn't edify the call if none of the leaders get on it, de-edifies it. So if I want to have my team want to value the diamond and up call when they become diamond, I want them to know that I don't miss the diamond and above calls. And I do want them to get on the diamond and above calls because I want them to get all the information. Right? It's the same thing with the ruby and above call, or a pearl and above call, or a jade and above meeting before the regional. You want to go to every event you qualify for if you want to build an edification of those events into your culture. You see? So when you're like, oh, I'll skip it and I'll just get it on the Periscope, you're creating a de-edification of the events, a de-edification of the leadership training culture. You're not improving your downline. You're like, oh, well, I'm busy. Well, that's just thinking about you. You're not thinking about the culture that you're creating in leadership that's going to duplicate. So that's the key. You want to step outside of the room. You want to step out of the room and say, hang on a second, I got to get on this call. I qualified on this Pearl and above call. I have to step out and get this information here real quick. And your reps are like, dang, that must be really important. Dang, he must be important. Dang, this event must be important. Dang, this training must be important. You're edifying. That's where the edification has come from. They see you through your actions. Right? And so here, imagine not picking up the phone when your leader calls and your rep sees you. Your rep is with you and they see that your upline call and you don't pick up the phone. You just de-edified your upline. But imagine they say, hang on one second. We got to continue this conversation, but I have to hang on a second. This is my mentor calling me right now. This is Mr. Nieves calling me right now. This is Mr. Bradford calling me right now. I'm going to pick up the phone in front of them and I'm going to put them on hold to edify my leader. Right? Imagine your upline calls you and you don't even call back, or you don't even call back promptly or even any time, just whenever. You're showing your reps that's de-edifying. You're not showing you that you edify and lead, and follow your leader, right? So edification culture is doing all of these things, calling right back, wearing your pin. Wearing your promotion pin at the event creates an edification culture. You see, everyone sees all the pins and they're edified. When you don't wear your pin, you're de-edifying your pin. You're saying, oh, I'm a pearl, but I want to be a sapphire. I don't like that pearl pin. I want to be a sapphire. Well, people would just give their right arm to be a pearl. I mean, a lot of people would just wish to be a pearl making $700 a month, cash flow, extra income, second promotion in the company. But you act like it's not a big deal. But for someone who's been a jade for 3 months and they're barely starting to figure out that they got to be coachable, now they want to go pearl, but they've ruined a lot of their contacts by doing it all the wrong way. They're just trying to get to pearl. And you're like, oh, pearl, like I just want to be a sapphire. Well, you want to wear that pearl pin proudly. You qualify for to be on pearl and above calls. You want to edify the pin, creating an edification culture. So, all these little things matter. It's like sideline conversations. This is important. Sidelines are hanging out with sidelines. Everyone's mingling. Everyone's becoming friends. But imagine you're hanging out with the sideline and you're like, oh yeah, that upline, oh yeah, he's okay. But we don't do it the way they do it. You just de-edified and planted a seed of doubt in that rep's mind about their upline and the way they do things. You de-edified. You didn't help your culture. You thinking you're the man, wanting to look cool, that just de-edified the whole system, and now other people are going to eventually do it to you too, because everyone's creating a culture of everyone talking about everyone else instead of saying, man, the way he does it, I wouldn't do it any other way. Wow, your upline, the way they do it, that's how I would do it. I wouldn't look for any other answers. My team does it in a different way, but that's our team, the way we do it, and your team does it your way, and they're pretty much the same way anyway, but I would just follow your upline. That's edifying and having each other's back, right? So edification culture, this is a key one. Edification culture is like when your upline says, I'm going to be in town, and I can do a PBR at 6 o'clock and 8:30. I'm going to give you whichever one you want. And you're like, oh, those times don't work for me or my people. Can we do 7:30? And maybe all you're thinking is like, I just, those times don't work for my contacts. Can we have a time that works for me, right? But what you're not realizing is that your leader is edified. You want to edify your leader. Their schedule is powerful and important. They're fitting as much in as they can, setting priorities. I just created another video. Go watch it on Daily Method of Operations. And they're prioritizing their schedule to get the most done. And they're saying, this is when I have time. I want to help you. And if you're saying, oh, those don't work for me, can you rearrange your schedule around me? You're de-edifying them in your attitude. Instead of saying, okay, I'm lucky to have any time possible. Wow, the ability to work with the Blue Diamond coming into town. Oh my gosh, the ability to work with the Ruby coming into town. Holy shamoly, launching my business. Whatever time, sir, is best for you, sir, I will get people to come. Thank you, sir. That's the attitude. And we don't need you guys to call us sir. That's not what it's about. It's just, you want to have that attitude where it's like, oh my gosh, I have this 1 hour when they're available. I want to get everyone to come. I want everyone to know that they should get off of work early, call in sick, stay up late at night. They're not going to get as much sleep. They need to meet this gal, meet this guy. That's edification. Go freaking out, going nuts, telling people they're crazy if they're going to miss this. Telling people they're nuts if they're not bringing 80 people. If they're only calling 8 people, they're nuts. They need to call 80 people. That's what's going to create edification. It's how people go crazy in a frenzy of calling and getting people to rearrange their schedules and edifying the leader, not just saying, oh, well, he's a really important guy, but if you can't make it, no big deal. That's not edification. That's your actions not aligning with your words. Your words should be saying, he's a really important deal. If I were you, I would just stay up late tonight and sleep a little bit less. You need to meet this guy, come to that 8:30 event. Or get off of work early, come to the 6 o'clock. Whichever one, you got to come to one or the other though. And so that's the real edification that's happening. Edification culture is something that we build up over time from having everyone learning the right things to do, ways to do things. But at the end of the day, little things can tear it down. Not wearing your tie, just because you don't like ties. I don't like ties either. But not wearing your tie, and look, maybe you joined network marketing so you don't have to wear a tie because you don't want to wear a tie. You don't like corporate America. Well, I did too. But I know that when some people stop wearing their ties, it gives the people permission to dress down. You're dressing down. And your dressing down might still be dressed way up compared to other people. The wealthiest people we know don't even want to wear suits. They wear nice jeans and sport coat, maybe whatever, but they don't want to put on a suit. But there's other people that if you give them permission to not wear a tie, now they don't even wear a sport coat and they're wearing their jeans. But this guy wears $200 pair of jeans and you're okay, well, they're okay. But then this guy will just think it's okay to wear jeans now. He's seen people dress down and now he's going to wear his jeans, and his jeans aren't $200 jeans. They're clearly cheap jeans. And it's not building a culture of respect and of class and of upper caliber people, upper echelon people with money and wealth and contacts and respect and credibility in the community. We want to raise people up to another level. By everyone wearing their ties, it lets that 18-year-old who's never worn a tie, dang, I should get a suit. I should wear a tie. And they spend some money on a starter suit from TJ Maxx. And they wear a tie for the first time and they feel proud. But now these other guys stop wearing their ties and they're feeling like, oh, maybe I don't have to wear a tie anymore, but actually I liked wearing a tie. But if everyone wears ties, it lifts everyone up. But just a simple thing as not wearing your tie starts to trickle down, pretty soon people aren't even showing up on time. Pretty soon people aren't edifying. They're going, hey, what's up, bro? Hey, man. Pretty soon they're not coming out to eat afterwards and the after the meeting culture has gone down. Just because something as simple as a tie, now they're not waiting in line early. They're not edifying. And so, but we dress it up to the top notch, literally to the top notch 5 times a month. We create that edification culture. And so one thing leads to the other as things start falling apart with an edification culture starts falling apart, and it leads to people not showing up on time or not showing up at all, or just, periscoping in instead of showing up to the live event. Like this guy flew all the way from Texas to come train you and you're not even going to drive across town. Like, no, you don't get to periscope in. That de-edifies the training. So everything we're thinking of, everything in terms of edification, de-edification, right? De-edification, imagine, we have a 90-day blitz planner, but you're like, oh, I don't need one of those. You're de-edifying the system that's built into the planner that tracks your numbers to get people moving forward into being more serious, and you're de-edifying it, right? If you have a planner and you carry it around with you, it's edifying the planner and the culture and everything we're training. Even if you don't use it, even if you only use it for the notes and to memorize, handling objections. but it's everything is creating an event culture, a edification culture. You know, it's de-edifying. Imagine this, it's de-edifying when you undermine the authority of your leaders who say, hey guys, we're going to go in a different direction, or we're going to do things this way, or we're going to launch this initiative. And you're like, no guys, we're not going to do that. Or you're like, I know when our leader came to town, we should be focusing on this, but we're just going to do it this way. You just de-edified your leader by going against what they said. It should be like, that's what they said, we're on board, right? And so it's being not coachable in front of other people, and being blatantly, like, being not coachable de-edifies your leader. Now they're not going to follow your leader now because you're not, and now they're going to start wondering if they should follow you, because there's a culture of not following our leader. Does that make sense? So we want to follow the leader. We want to be a leader that's duplicating the right things and following the leader, but always being a leader who leads and follows and edifying every step of the way. Everything is either edifying or de-edifying. And what's the key is to be aware, to increase our awareness as professional network marketers, to always be edifying, always having each other's backs, always looking at the situation and what can I do to create edification, to show up early, to create doing things the right way. You know, people getting freaked out, excited, jacked up about having an upline coming into town. That's what builds their businesses. It doesn't make you money if no one's promoting the out-of-town speaker and no one shows up. If the out-of-town speaker comes and everyone's promoting like crazy and all the guests show up, that makes you money. So it's all about the edification. Without the edification, that's just a person coming to town that no one knows about. But with edification, that's a person that people are freaking out because they don't want to miss out on. So everything is all about edification, you guys. Hopefully this training has helped. Edify in everything you do, edifying the little things and the big things and the activities, and increasing our awareness to always understanding what's edifying and what's not, as we're participants and observers in creating the environment, which is a different training, is what will really take you to another level of professionalism in network marketing. So thanks guys, I'm Charles Rudibaugh. I live Kyani, and I'm not just going to see you at the top, I'm going to see you over the top. Bye-bye.